Hello, welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm Ashley Hobley. Join me on the couch today, Tom Blight,
I will be here for
this
short
segment.
stint. Yeah.
Yes, on today's Arcade Couch, Dylan will be here to talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and then Ciaran will be on later in the episode to talk about his experience at Dreamhack and whatever news has happened this week. But Dylan's going somewhere else this weekend, but he wanted to be here to talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. You've been playing it for review. You finished the game, I'm assuming, if we're talking about it now.
I finished the game.
Cool. So, of course, it's the latest.
As of recording, I have not written my review, but yes, I finished the game.
Yeah, so obviously the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from 2019, developed by Respawn Entertainment. Known fact, Dylan, you didn't enjoy Fallen Order.
It's not that I didn't enjoy Fallen Order. I just was more critical of it.
You're more critical than most people who have. Yeah. I've seen people saying Fallen Order is their second favorite Star Wars thing ever. So, Dylan, what did you think of Jedi? Well, let me just kick this off straight off the top. At any point, does Cal Kestis sing Survivor by Destiny's Child?
Not that I've seen, but I'm finished all the side quests.
Okay, cool. Well, there's a chance. So, Dylan, what do you think of Jedi Survivor?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than the first game. I feel like this is sort of, it escapes the feeling of trying to fit into this with the weird between episode 3 episode 4 thing, while trying to like a lot of my problems with the first game is I just didn't find Cal that interesting of a character, and I felt like the story was just trying to just pigeonhole into a very specific area and trying to do these like several different things, like with the nostalgia factor while introducing a new character, while like it just felt like I was trying to do all these plates, and I don't feel like narratively it did particularly a bunch of them like that interesting. It was just like, yeah, it's fine. Like the story is fine. It was like you haven't even finished it. Like it can't have been that interesting for you because you couldn't even be bothered.
No, yeah,
through, yeah, like you can't even like argue. Like you couldn't even be bothered seeing that through to the finish. So the story's not. It can't be that interesting. The story in this game is a lot more interesting. However, it's impossible to talk about. Like obviously the game's main story beat is sort of covered in secrecy. That I don't think it's perfect. Well, I think it's perfectly fine for me to say that, think about that original reveal the trailer. They show someone in a Bacta tank. They're like, who the fuck's this? Is this Star Killer from Force Unleashed coming back? I'm happy to confirm that is not the case. But
is it Snoke?
I'm happy to confirm it is also not Snoke. I think that's totally fine.
Is it Moff Gideon?
Maybe, could be. Maybe it's all the tie-in. So,
is it Grogu?
No, it's not Grogu. But yeah, once you reach a certain point of the game, it definitely I was enjoying playing the first few hours. I was like, yeah, I'm like Star Wars, like having a fun time. The combat's good, which I'll get to in a second, whatever else. But once you reach a certain story point, which is when you finally come across that Bacta tank and that character that's introduced there, things just get way more interesting, and the game very much dives into a lore and area around which the most of a Star Wars media isn't interested in covering at the moment, or hasn't covered at the moment. So it very much stands on its own 2 feet this time around, rather than feel like it's trying to like just fit in this weird timeline, and you're playing it the whole time going, but you're not the dude who saves the galaxy. I know it's Luke Skywalker. You can't trick me. It's not how it works. So I can't really say too much story wise, but Cal is definitely a lot more interesting this time too, where he like at the start of the game he's doing a mission for Saw Gerrera, like still trying to do this whole fight back against Empire, try and save the galaxy, all this sort of stuff. He's split up from all of the main characters. Like this game picks up several years later, or they don't give you an exact time. Star Wars loves that at the moment. They're just like, yeah, years later, to could be 10, could be. It's definitely not after episode 4
Yeah.
though, because
Exactly when in the timeline
yeah,
is it?
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's just like somewhere between last game and still before episode 4
Does it
is
take
where this.
take place before or after the events of Obi-Wan?
I have no idea. I have no fucking clue. The yeah, so he's still doing that. He's still trying to fight back, but it as the game progresses, Cal sort of begins wrestling with the idea that he's too obsessed with trying to, get back against the Empire and like sort of on this one man mission and whatever else, and he becomes more worried that it can corrupt him, which is interesting because like we know characters that it does corrupt. Like you can even look at Saw Gerrera as someone who his mission to take down the Empire does corrupt him into a world where he sort of leans more towards the dark side than light as he starts making different. He's kicked out of the rebellion, all these sorts of things that character's got.
Mm.
So there's definitely a line between the people fighting the war, and that's sort of something Cal starts wrestling with in this one as well, especially when, and I haven't read that book. I'm not sure if how much that covers that Bell Scars prequel book that was written by Sam Maggs. Covers like the split up between him and him, Seer, fuck, I can't remember all the characters' names, but the main crew from the first game. It's not like they left on bad terms. The game very much sets up this whole thing from the outset where it's like, hey, we're off there, and you meet back up with them soon enough. But like where the game starts is like they're all in their own little locations. They all split up. It gets a feeling of they weren't going down the same path of Cal, where they weren't interested in just fighting for the sake of fighting anymore. They wanted to try and find something else to do better with their time than like fighting this war that just seems never ending. Like it's not
Mhm.
make any sort of difference. So that's all very good. Uh, but all the other characters are a lot more interesting in this as well. I find, like, especially when you come into them having dealt with, I guess, other things. What the fuck is the girl's name? It's like Mia. Fuck, hold on. The Night Sister from Jedi Order game. Marin. I was about to say Marin.
Uh,
So Marin, the Night Sister from Dathomir, who's like one of the main characters in the first game. I was like whatever on her in the first game. I definitely like her a lot more in this. She's when you meet back up with her, she's been like traveling the galaxy. She seems to have grown a lot more as a person while still having kept, I guess, her night sister powers and like that's the sensibilities of herself.
yeah.
She's still got like this very dry sense of humor, which I find very amusing at times. She'll like say things and then just be like, BD1, if you tell such and such that I'll like turn you off, or like it's just all like very dry sort of
Mm.
stuff she'll mutter the characters, which is fun. But outside the story stuff, the one of the parts I enjoy most about this game is the difference in locations and how like the game's structured. So they introduce one the main planet that you'll spend the majority of the game on is a brand new planet they made for this game. And like this is the largest
So we're not going to
planet.
Tatooine.
You're not going to Tatooine, as far as I'm aware.
Fake Star Wars.
It could be a secret scene. The fuck, I can't even remember the name off the top of my head, but it's the first planet you go to. I'm sorry, I'll have all this. I'll have to get all these names right before I do my actual review. But I think it starts with it's Kobo. That's the name. So it's a planet called Kobo. You go there, start of the game. You'll go there for the majority back and forth between a couple of the places, but it's the main planet. And what it's because it's a new planet, they get to do sort of whatever Respawn gets to do whatever they want as far as law wise, who was there prior to the current settlers, who's like what do people come to this planet to do. So it's like a prospecting planet where most of the people there are coming there to find rich minerals
Mm.
and stuff like that to get rich in this time of the galaxy. But it's also a place where it's currently overrun by bandits and stuff like that. So when you first come into the planet, it seems so nothing, barren, uninteresting, especially when you reach the main town for the first time. But as the game progresses, it does want to. I actually really like when video games do this and do it well. It does so it sort of becomes your hub area. Not that you always come back here to go before you do a mission, but you can travel back to here between major story missions and stuff, and it'll pop up with a little message saying like, "There's new characters at the, the whatever the place is. It's like the bar,
The
the
swimming
saloon,
pool.
whatever.
No.
That place. Which when you first go down there in the town, there's two characters there, and then as the game progresses, as you both bring in characters through story missions, or a lot of the side mission content will lead you to meet someone who you can talk to, and they'll come back to that place and they'll be chilling there, and then between missions you can talk to all the characters there, and they're like, hey, the thing that just happened, that's crazy, hey, like, is that character doing the thing and the thing, like all that sort of stuff, which I really enjoy, and it gives me that same feel that you get from like the Mass Effect games, where you would travel around the after you do like a main story mission and stuff, you can go around and talk to all the characters, not in a way that you're making uh
Relationships.
relationships like you're not having a personal choice on who you want to romance and stuff, but it is still that element of, if you choose and want to build and know more about a lot of the characters in this game, like if you're interested, you can always come back to this place and spend time talking to them all. And it's just really interesting to see the place grow with people, even to the point that there's you can find these two characters at one stage who you find these, like, you explore Kobo, and you'll find they did it in the first game where you can press a button and like Cal can like force hear the past, or what, like stuff that's like
Yes. Yeah,
embedded into
full second or
items or
something.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Force Echo, that's it. Yeah. And you do that. And remember at one stage, I like very early in the game, I found this Force Echo for these people. It was a clip of two people trying to record the sound of like a big beast roaring, and they were like, yeah, that's perfect for our song or something like that. And then you find these two characters later in the middle of nowhere on Kobo, and like one of them's a DJ droid robot, and then you can recruit them and have them come back to the bar. And then every time you now come into the bar, like there's actually like music playing, it's a lot more lively. There's just like, and you can go request, and you can unlock songs and buy songs and get them to change what's playing in the bar. So yeah, it just progresses to a point that's just like really cool. And is even a aquarium that's upstairs that's eventually unlocked. You can meet a character whose name is absolutely fucking hilarious. It's like, I think it's spelt funny, but it's basically Scuba Stev, like Scuba Steve, but it's Scuba Stev, and it's this little tiny, I don't know the species of some alien who just like goes fishing, and once you talk to him for the first time and get him back to the saloon, then you'll find him at random locations around Kobo, and then that's how you, like, it's another collectible, getting him to like capture these fishes, and then you can come and put them back into the tank, this giant fish tank in the middle of the place there that you can and stuff. But every time he'll be like, oh, these. He's got like a fucking like Irish accent or whatever. Like, oh, Scuba Stev will get these fishes, and he'll like dive in
Sounds
and
Scottish.
bring, yeah, Scottish. Sorry, he'll dive in and get these like fucking tiny ass fish out, and he'll be like, oh, they're so dangerous. Like, I don't know. There's some comedy in this game, I feel so, which is good. Bit more levity to it than the
Yeah.
considering like how dark most of the core story missions and stuff are, I guess. Yeah, so I definitely, I having the option to dive in more to the characters, because in the first game it was you could talk to the three or four main characters on the ship
Yeah.
between missions, but that was it. And I wasn't vibing a lot with them there, but vibing in more of this game and having all these other random characters that have like really weird personalities and stuff also
And
just adds
stories and
more to
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of different species, like giant, like fucking something that literally just looks like a walking toad. Like, is, I don't know if I've ever seen Star Wars before, but that's also someone you rescue at some stage, and then they're just like chilling in there, and I don't know,
What,
they're
like the frog lady from
no, different to that,
different?
like literally like a fucking toad. Anyway, but then you'll meet all these characters and be like, they're weird. And then the more you explore around Kobo, then you'll find more like Force Echoes, and you can listen and you'll learn more about the characters and what they've been
Mm,
doing around the planet and stuff like that. So I've been really enjoying exploring. I kept having to pull myself back because I've done a bunch of side content, but I've every now and then I'd be like I should probably,
look in
I
your
don't know how long
watch.
the
Look at the
game is.
date.
I want, yeah, I look at the date and the time. But like, it's just fucking. But they're very easily distracted trying to do side content, just exploring, picking up collectibles, and trying to find other people to bring back and stuff like that. Which is obviously a good thing. It's not a
Yeah.
bad thing. But I was just like, I do have a schedule I want to beat the game on. So that's good. Combat wise, if you enjoyed the first game's combat, it's just more of that, but obviously it's built upon. It doesn't do the typical thing that a lot of these games do where they take
It's
away
like,
all of
oh, I
Cal's
got
powers.
amnesia.
Yeah, I got amnesia. I don't know how to fucking do anything anymore. So from the start of the game, Cal has everything he had in the first game, including his. I think the last power he gets is like the press L3 and R3 to slow down time one, which he just has from the outset of this game. Um, and then it's just built upon from then. But the majority of the stuff you'll actually unlock in this game isn't actually force abilities. Like you get skill points, and then you can build Cal how you want to build your Cal. But
Yeah,
you can put skill points into survival, so like more health and whatever. And then you've got lightsaber abilities, and then you've got force abilities. So I didn't actually unlock that many force abilities. There's a bunch more I know I could unlock where it's like, press L2, R2, and you'll like squish a group of enemies together. Like if that's how you want to play the game, go for gold. But that's like optional unlocks, not like main storyline mission force
yeah,
powers unlocks. But then the majority of the combat stuff that you're given in this game is actually the different lightsaber techniques that you unlock through the first like I think you unlock all of them by well before the halfway point of the game, which is good. So you got a lot of time to sort of build it and decide how
yeah.
you want to actually play. So you've got your typical just standard lightsaber, two hands, one bladed. You unlock the two lightsabers like Ahsoka style shit. That's how I played the majority of the game because Ahsoka and I. That's
Ahsoka
fun.
Stan, yeah,
Yeah, Ahsoka stand. Then you get the dual bladed, double sided. Sorry, like Darth Maul lightsaber,
yeah,
and then the last one you get is and they show this in the trailer, like the cross guard or whatever they call it, like Kylo Ren
Kylo Ren, yeah,
style lightsaber, and they all have different techniques. Obviously, the standard one, and you can see they'll give you stats like this one's like faster, but like less slower or what all that sort of stuff. But like your basics, middle ground, everything. There's no negatives. It's just straight down the middle.
mm,
The benefit of the dual one is they're very fast, but does less damage. It's sort of like having twin daggers in like a fancy game, I guess, or something
yeah,
like that. The double bladed one is fast, but um, it does a little bit more damage, but it doesn't have such a wide variety of attacks and a set of things you can't do. But some of these do, and you can have on the left and right on the D pad, you can have two of them set, so you can just quickly switch between two of them. So if there's two you like, you can
so
quickly
he has
switch to them.
multiple lightsabers. Is what it is.
No, he'll quickly like pull the pieces and somehow just I don't know,
Oh,
whatever.
so
I don't, I don't think it's like super realistic, but as a video game, I'll let it fly. Like
it doesn't
if you
make sense in the
if
Star
you
Wars
have
universe.
like if you have two out, you'll see like some animation that makes it look like he basically joins them back together, and then suddenly it's a double sided one again. You just whatever. Um, but you can have two going, and there's some reasons you would want to switch mid combat because stuff like you'll get the stormtroopers who have like big machine gun esque like blasters, like like shooting out a bunch of
Yeah,
bullets. Any of the other lightsabers, other than the Darth Maul double bladed one, you can shoot the block the parry the bolts back, but it won't like actually kill them. Whereas if you have that one out and you block the first bolt and hold down L1, he'll quickly like and like take out. It's a way to take them out. So different enemies will have like strengths and weaknesses to different lightsaber attacks. So there's a reason to switch it up on the fly, not just only play the game with the one lightsaber technique that you like the most and only stick to that one, which is cool. But uh, the thing with the first game that turned, I guess, some people off, or it was like a love hate thing, and I reckon you would probably like the game more if it wasn't the trying to be the Souls like. Would that be a fair comment? The first one,
I
do you
mean
reckon
it
it was
was
a
fine. I think the thing that most turned me off was like the Metroidvania of it all, and like having to retrack through
areas?
levels and that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's a thing that.
Yeah, okay. So you will retrack through you'll do a story mission on Kobo and then you'll go to a different planet. And I'm not saying any other planets because I'm not sure I can't remember which ones
Yeah,
are it was. But and then you'll go to another planet and then you'll come back to Kobo. But because it's like open world or like a semi like open
yeah,
area
I
on
think that's
Kobo.
different. Like,
Yeah. So you're like
yeah,
going to a different area. You're not going for the same building again. No. I can't think of any
yeah,
time I've had to go through the same exact area, other than if I was going
yeah.
back there to do a side quest or like find a
Mm.
collectible. But story mission wise, no. I'd say you're not doing that.
Yeah.
When you do get into areas, sometimes it is that whole thing of like you have to climb up the top, like unlock something, and then climb back down the bottom, and you've unlocked the door to go through
Yeah.
somewhere. But like, I wouldn't say it's hardcore like Metroidvania. But yeah, I actually felt like this game was easier than the first one. So I just played it obviously on the normal
Okay.
default difficulty, but I did find it easier than the first one
There
and
was
less
no
frustrating.
killer frog like standing right at the start, like
No, there's no killer
achievements.
frog at the front. I mean, to be fair, if you're listening to this and you're going to play the first game, you can just ignore that frog and you don't have to spend 10 hours trying to kill it. It is totally optional,
No,
and
that's
also you
it's a
can kill it
necessity.
in one shot. You just dodge and cut its tongue off. I will say, because I don't think this is really spoiled, but those frogs do show back up. Not in a story mission, but a side mission in this. So if you like those frogs, they're back again.
You can go kill 'em again.
Um, get your frog on. But yeah, I did find the game was a little bit easy, which I think is good because I as much as I enjoy Souls games, I don't actually think that Star Wars, which is a massively major property, should be a super difficult franchise, which is
Mm,
like super turn you off. That said, at any point in the game, if you are finding a boss battle too hard or whatever, you can just adjust the difficulty. There's no real downside, I guess. You can just open the menu and switch it up, down, do whatever you want. You're not committed to a difficulty. As soon as I finished the game, and then I spent another couple hours like doing some side mission stuff and whatever, I've switched it down to easy. I'm like, I don't fuck care at the moment. I just want to mow through enemies now. You know what I mean? Like I've done the thing. I've played
you've
my
had the
my
challenge,
yeah, I've had my
complete the
I've
story.
done the thing. And I'm trying to get like I look at the map. I'm like, there's a collectible I missed up there. There's fucking bunch of enemies blocking me. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to fucking like smash trees and go get the
Yeah.
collectible. So yeah, I've put it down. And when you put it on easy, it's fucking easy. Like it's just normal, challenging. Like if you try and button mash, which is fine. Like the game is meant to be thoughtful combat. So if you do play it on normal difficulty, it is that thing of you will have to either learn to parry or learn to dodge. Like that's the thing. And it does
Yeah.
the typical thing of you can block most enemy attacks when they glow red. That's an unblockable attack. You have to dodge that out of the way. It's pretty basic stuff
Yeah.
for an action game. And then get your 3-4 hits in, and you'll have to block them again. Like I really don't think it's that much. There's not like hard techniques to get your head around and stuff like that. But then I do feel like if you forget, you have full access to a bunch of abilities, including force stuff, that you're sort of making the game harder for yourself. Because sometimes you're like, there were moments in my first few hours where like sort of forget, and like I'd
Mm.
be getting fucked up with a dude firing a missile launcher at me or some shit from above, and I'd be like trying to parry it and fuck it up. I'm like, God damn, and I'm like, oh wait, hold on, and then I just press L2, like force him to myself, and just stick my lightsaber. I'm like, yeah, like
It's so
it's
much easier.
just yeah, so much easier. Like so, if you yeah, if I think if you're not fully thinking about things all the time, be like, wait, I'm a Jedi, I could just
I'm a Jedi, not a character in Dark
yeah,
Souls.
yeah. So it does sort of make the game easier to do it that way. Yeah, I really really enjoyed it. I don't know what my score is going to be. It's definitely going to be higher than the 6 I gave
Yeah.
the first game. I've I don't my only real negatives, I guess, is I do have some technical issues, which it's sort of hard to write about and talk about because I know there's going to be a day one patch.
Day
So
one patch, yeah.
I'm waiting to see. Like it's sort of hard because I don't want to
How
talk.
much weight do you throw behind that?
Not
Obviously,
not much, not much. But I probably will note it because I don't think they're all going to be fixed as far as I'm aware from what I've seen in the supplied like information, like
yeah.
the stuff. I think there's just some slight, and I'm talking like they're targeting. I'm playing it on. I played the whole game on performance mode. They're targeting 60 frames per second. I can definitely tell at times it weirdly drops, just like it just drops down to 30 or something like that. It feels at
Yeah.
times. It's just sort of annoying. Fortunately, it doesn't. I don't think it ever happened to me in combat, which is the most important part. But just like wandering around the world, but it just feels jarring when you can feel the sun drop. I remember having same issues with the first game. I don't know, but the best thing about this game compared to the second one, the first
The
one
first one.
is the fucking playing this on next gen consoles, and if you do die, only having to wait a couple seconds to respawn because you will
Okay,
still
so
die
it's
a
been
lot. Like
pretty good, pretty well optimized for
yeah. It's not.
PS5. Yeah.
I reread my review for the first one, and yeah, I had a complaint about waiting 30 seconds for like being like I'm dying a lot in this game, and I'm having to fucking wait 30 seconds to respawn. that's frustrating. Like,
Yeah.
which it is, because if you're gonna die a lot in the game, which you will die a lot in this game, it's not like
Mm.
easy, but um then you have no wait. That's like that's more frustrating than the you died part. So yeah, I would say if you can make the time, just smash through that last. Just put the first one
Okay,
on
so I
story
definitely need to
mode.
finish the first game.
Uh, I would if you. I can't remember where did you say you was up to?
I'm going back to Kashyyyk
Oh, you
the
know, you
second
still got
time.
ages. Just watch a fucking video. Just watch a video. Just see how the just watch the last like just see
I've
how the
got
game ends.
3 days.
No,
I don't know
no,
how long it'll take.
you're not gonna do it. You just watch a video so you can see how the game ends. Because have you do you know how it ends? The first one?
I know a certain character shows up, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I'll just tell you. So everyone listening, because if you're listening to this, like spoilers for the first game. If you're about to play the second one, so it doesn't really matter. So at the end, they like do this whole mission because they want to get like a list of They're trying to get the storyline
They've
becomes
been
they're trying to
chasing
get
the list of Jedi
yeah,
kids.
yeah, force sensitive kids. They're trying to keep it out of the hands of the Inquisitorius, so
Yes.
they can save some lives there. And then they go, and then they have a face down with the second sister or whatever she was, who was actually she was Seer's Padawan
Yeah.
or whatever how that works out. So she's the final boss battle. She was actually kind of hard, and he beat her. And then Darth Vader shows up, and you of course try to fight him for all 5 seconds before obviously it's like let's run because when they try and fight, I remember being so annoyed. They're like fight Darth Vader. I'm like, nah, dude, Cal's dead. So, and they escape, and then at the end they're like they get the list, they save the day, and then they've also got some like I think they like get some Jedi book or whatever, and then Seer's all like let's like restart the Jedi Order basically. And I remember like finishing the first game, being like, he's not doing that because but whatever, let's go from there. So yeah, there's not much, not much to really know, I guess, but otherwise the core stuff. The
I'll
game
just finish
does.
watching the recap video that I started watching.
This game has a recap video at the start too.
Okay, that's good then. That's helpful.
Um, not like a hardcore like 10 15
Just
minute one, but
general
just it's just
important
a it's
stuff.
like probably like 5 minute recap of the first game. Just shows the moments in a like cool sort of
Mm.
way. And then after you start the game, it's always on the front menu, like you can replay
Yeah.
it if you want to, sort of thing, which is cool. But yeah, I check out my review. I don't know what I gave it yet, but I'm sure it's a score that makes things. I started trying to gather my thoughts to write the review. I'm going to struggle on this one because I don't actually know how to discuss too much about the game. I know I just talked about it for half an hour, but I don't know how to discuss too much about the
The plot
story. It's really hard. It's really, really hard.
without
Um,
spoilers.
yeah, without spoilers, like that's the current predicament I'm in because I have a lot of positive thoughts about the story, and I like a lot of things it does. That's really other than saying
But
that
you don't
one
want to
sentence.
outright say what they are.
Yeah, sort of. It's one of those hard ones. So,
So look
uh,
forward to a spoiler
yeah,
cast sometime in the future.
yeah, I would like to do a spoiler.
And I'm joined now by Kieran Martin. How you going?
Hi, I'm great. I'm home from a busy weekend of esports and all things kind of professional gaming. It's been nice.
Well, before we get into that, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. Obviously, me and Dylan were just talking about Jedi Survivor. He was pretty positive on it. In the end, he gave it a 9 out of 10 at explosion.com, so you could go check out that review. But it turns out the game, everybody kind of knew there was issues before the game had been released. But post-release, these day one patches have not done enough, especially on the
No.
PC front.
Yes,
Um,
all I've read is poor things on the PC front. Even like not being able to get above 20 frames on the PC, which is crazy.
I mean, yeah, even to the point where EA tweeted out a message saying, "We are aware that Star Wars Jedi Survivor isn't performing to our standards for a percentage of our PC players, in particular those with high-end machines or certain specific configurations. For example, players using cutting-edge multi-thread chipsets designed for Windows 11 were encountering problems on Windows 10, or high-end GPUs coupled with lower-performing CPUs also saw unexpected frame loss. Rest assured, we are working to address these cases quickly. While there is no single comprehensive solution for PC performance, the team has been working on fixes we believe will improve performance across the spectrum of configurations. We are committed to fixing these issues as soon as possible, but each patch requires significant testing to ensure we don't introduce new problems." Thanks for understanding. Apologies to any of our players experiencing those issues. We will continue to monitor performance across all platforms and share update timing as soon as it is available. Um, Kieran, what do you think of PC players kind of being left in
I
the lurch
I
again? Uh,
it's funny. I guess the thing, I guess it has to be, where is your developer focus at? And when you the downside of PC gaming is PC has to cover such a broad spectrum of potential chipsets, graphics cards, different sets of RAM, different sets
Software.
of memory, different softwares. There is such a wide spectrum that developers are going to tend to struggle, and especially if those developers are more focused on their console, because consoles are bread and butter, right? Like,
Well, it's
other
simple.
than
There's two
like
SKUs. That's it.
yeah,
Done.
there's the two SKUs, and even like the Xbox One, there's like a couple little minor SKUs between the
X and S, yeah.
yeah, the X and S. So it it's a lot harder to do. I find, to be honest, I think it's probably just almost a better idea. And I know they want people to be able to play it all at the same time, but even as somebody who enjoys PC, I don't mind there being a separate PC
PC release date.
launch. Like, to give, like, have a PC launch like a month later, so you give it like a good period where you're like, I'm just focused on the PC version now. We're just working on optimizing this and getting this working. Yes, it sucks, especially for games like Jedi Survivor that are story driven, and it
Yes.
will require PC players to avoid spoilers. But we've already seen, right, that games are still in demand that are story driven, even if they have a later launch. If we compare it to your Horizons and the Last of Us series being ported over to the
Yeah.
PC, and the PC games that PlayStation are bringing out or porting across, we are seeing a good pickup rate and buy-in rate for those, even though they are story games that have been out for such a long period of time. Um, it's not perfect, and I wish there was better ways for the team to have kind of made sure that the PC version was optimized and was playing. But even when I remember I saw Andy Cortez from
Kind of funny, I think they're
Kind
called.
of Funny was playing it on the PC, and he had an awful experience trying to review the game. Just not even getting above 24 frames a second.
Yeah.
Just which once it's a meme and it's a joke that console games have been largely 30 FPS for so long, and we had that discussion a couple of weeks ago about
Hmm.
60 frames versus 30 frames. It is a thing of, especially for, I guess, with the PC setup, is the moment you're used to seeing higher frames, your brain easily recognizes when it is stuttering and when it's breaking and when it's not smooth. Um, yeah, it sucks. I saw a collection today on Twitter. I saw a collection, somebody had gathered up all of the recent um,
Yeah.
social
Uh,
media posts with all recent ones of this, and yeah,
so the
it's
ones I've seen that have been broken at launch so far: Forspoken, Wild Hearts, the Wizard game, Wulong Dynasty, of course, Last of Us, and now Jedi Survivor. So
yeah. And even if you go back to yes, Cyberpunk was broken everywhere.
yeah,
And actually, CD Projekt Red fixed the PC version first before it picks the console version. So I think it
but
just depends on
yeah,
the developer, and it depends
yeah,
on their
their
comfort
background, yeah,
and their background around PC games to where they focus their time. And you can see PC games that there are just as many games that work the opposite way, where the developer works on it from a PC point of view, and then ports it across to
but that
um,
I feel like
console.
it's far fewer in between.
I would say not far fewer, but I would say less.
Well,
It's
not AAA,
not
not in
triple
the
A. Yeah,
AAA
was what I was
space.
going to go with. Not triple A. Triple A titles are always built for consoles because it is the larger market in
Yeah,
many ways. Like, so many, even though PC gamers, there are so many people who play PC. It's like, okay, you sure, but you cut that out with, okay, here's the amount of people who PCs just can't run games, so they've gone out and bought themselves a console. You've got another portion of PC gamers that are just diehard into their multiplayer games, whether that's Dota, Overwatch, League of Legends, whatever they're addicted to at the time. And these story driven games aren't necessarily going to pull them away from that game for long enough. So I guess they do. It is in some ways a smart decision to be like we're focusing um, on the console version. I'll be very interested with Redfall coming out this week, especially Bethesda, and we all know Bethesda has its issues in general anyway. But I'll be very interested to see how the PC version of that fares compared to the console version
But the
overall.
PC version's meant to run at 60 frames per second, and the console one can't.
Yes,
So
exactly. But it's like, okay, does that actually work? And that's the
does that
thing.
mean
People,
anything?
does it mean anything? Does it actually work? But we shall find out in the coming days with that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's something that happens so regularly that should like publishers be marketing games on PC differently? Should they be going as like it's not launching, it's launching in early access
I
in
don't.
quotation
I
marks in the
hate
first
the.
month, or do PC gamers just need to accept that this is how things are going to be? You have to wait till it's been patched up.
I
Let
think
the
so.
idiots spend their money
Well,
at the start,
no, I
and
don't
then
even think it should be that. I just think that these places should just have a PC launch date. I think
they
a
should just
couple
delay it.
years ago,
But
I
even
think,
then, like you could still have issues after. So I mean, it's
yeah,
like
but at least with a PC launch date, it's the developers at least trying, and they should have
yes,
a crack at it, and they'll have a better focus on it. And instead of the thing is, I think there is a moral choice of um looking at it when you're going, oh, we're just going to put it on Steam anyway, busted. And, lol, idiots that are buying it, haha. We don't, I feel like there is a grossness around that, like a very poor business practice around that. I feel like it's much better, especially if you know, I wouldn't have, they had to have known like last couple of weeks that the PC version was fucked. And so either at some point they need to make the decision of okay, we need to push the PC version back and just be like, hey, we're just having a different launch window for that, or they need to just be very open about the PC version from the start, so that they're not kind of taking people's money for a busted product straight away.
yeah. I will say, looking at Steam reviews at the moment, it is 50% positive and 50% negative at just over 9,000
Yes,
reviews. So, I mean, 50% people are happy, like willing to sit through whatever issues
which
they've
is
had to
almost
through.
impressive
So,
because normally games are just ready to get review bombed as soon as they're put up on
but it's about white straight
Steam.
man, so I mean, it's all fine.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Kieran, so you've been at DreamHack this weekend, right?
I was. It was a Dreamhack Melbourne for
But
the
before we
last
talk
2 days.
about
Oh
that,
my
the
god.
UK's Competition and Market Authority has landed a major blow to the upcoming
Oh, this
outcome of
is
Microsoft's $69 billion proposed acquisition of
uh,
Activision-Blizzard, tonight announcing it was blocking the sale. While the organization cites several areas of concern regarding the deal's potential impact on the market and consumers, the CMA took to Twitter, highlighted its issues regarding cloud gaming in particular. Microsoft proposed deal is one of the largest markets and consolidation deals in history, kicking off in January 2022 and swiftly followed by several global organizations launching investigations into potential harm to the wider video game industry. Now, the CMA has definitely decided to prevent the deal from progressing after what it claims was a failure on Microsoft's part to adequately address concerns raised by the organization in February of this year. Kieran, as an Xbox fan and as a
can,
British person, how does this news make you feel?
I need to start with the injustice that is this podcast, because I've been blindsided. Not blindsided because I knew of this article and I was aware. But I said to Ashley before we started recording, because we're recording separately to Dill, and Ashley's recording earlier, that hey, are we just talking about DreamHack? Is that all what else are we talking about today? And he's like, yeah, just DreamHack. And this out of nowhere, this is
I wanted
no.
your raw impressions. I didn't want you to look up.
I've no. I've already read the articles. The it is almost impressive how poorly the CMA understands cloud gaming and the whole premise of cloud gaming. It is. I feel looking at it. It's look. I will say it from a more neutral point. Microsoft should have just done a better job of explaining what the fuck cloud gaming is to the CMA. that is the number one thing, is that Microsoft should just be should have just explained it better, because I feel like using cloud gaming as the reason to block this is fucking insane. Is so fucking stupid. Like, it is the worst. It feels like it's just a low hanging fruit that somebody is like, somebody in the CMA is just like, I don't understand this. I don't like it. I'm just going to use that as the reason to
How
block
are
it.
they gaming on clouds? They're all the way up in
Exactly.
the
They're
sky.
and just not understanding the cloud, or not understanding the reference point for it. And it's the only thing I know is, the disappointing thing is, I was disappointed in the media releases done by both Microsoft and um
Activision,
Activision. The Activision one was fucked. I was like, what are you guys
Kotick about
doing?
to go to war.
Yeah, it was like Activision were just like, well, we thought that the UK was going to be a good place to grow our business and move forward, but we're
Yeah,
going to have to
maybe we need to go somewhere else.
we're
I'm
going to
not
have to
saying,
rethink
hey.
that. And that's, I was like, bro, come on. But
Wow.
as a whole, I just, Microsoft appeals this. They get it. They fucking pull out a guide of fucking idiot's guide to cloud gaming, and they just present it, because it's a stupid reason to present, because neither of the other two's competitors have shown any real interest in cloud gaming, or in providing that as a service.
Yet.
It yet, but it doesn't seem like that is a thing that is, fuck Nintendo. Look, Sony. Even if we talk about cloud stuff in general, Sony makes you pay a fucking subscription to upload your save files to the cloud, which is, that
Smart.
is it's not fucking smart. It's dumb. And then Nintendo, on the other hand, Nintendo doesn't know what the fuck is going on half the time. Nintendo's in fucking la la land.
Can
It's
you even upload saves on Nintendo? I'm pretty
um
sure all their saves are locked
I
specifically to that
feel
Switch.
I feel like it's even
Yes.
worse. It's on the Switch itself. And like they're dabbling in, I guess, cloud stuff, but not really. But with their Nintendo libraries for their subscription service, but not even then. Not even like the cloud functionality of it. Um, it's just the thing. It's just like, sure, Microsoft has the advantage because it's backed by not just the Azure
Microsoft.
suite and Microsoft in general, but it's not just the Azure suite. There's another cloud suite they own.
Hmm.
So sure, they have an advantage and they have a foundation for cloud gaming. But to use that as like the reason why the Activision deal is a game, is
No,
a deal that is not, that is
it's
inequitable,
bad
that
for the
is
market.
a
Yeah.
bad for the market, makes no fucking sense. As the
Yeah.
CMA, you need to turn around as the CMA and be like, okay, actually, Microsoft in general, we need to put like a block on you in the cloud gaming space and the cloud space in general, so other people can catch up. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's obviously, yeah, it is obvious that just somebody doesn't understand, and they just need to appeal again, like appeal and just work through it and make somebody understand that. Are you saying that if Microsoft isn't in cloud gaming, or doesn't have this cloud gaming foundation and software, that the Activision Blizzard deal's fine? Because I can't
Yeah.
remember cloud gaming ever being a problem with Sony. I can't remember Sony ever using cloud gaming or the
No.
cloud system.
Some lawyer probably came in and said, "Oh, this cloud gaming stuff, maybe it's not great."
Yeah, it's
Just
just,
put that seed there, and that's the one that paid off.
it just makes no sense. It's just a, it is, especially when it's like pretty much in my eyes, CMA have said, okay, all the other reasons Sony has said don't actually matter. It's just this cloud gaming stuff. And if that is the true case of it, then it should just be appeal, get them worked out, get them with the fucking cloud gaming stuff fixed, and then the deal should go ahead.
Yeah.
If the deal goes, if they appeal it and they explain it, and somehow it still gets denied, then to me it just screams, no, they don't like this deal, but the only way they could do something to prevent the deal was to go after this low hanging fruit, that they
Mm.
couldn't do it any other way. I'm just, yeah, I'm interested to see how it moves forward. I just, at this point, I just want the deal either done or just in
Or
general
dead.
gone. Like, it just feels like it's been going on for fucking ages.
It's only been 16 months. Hasn't been that long.
That's still 16
Really?
months. That just feels like that is.
I know we talk about it, like, every few weeks, but,
I know.
um
It just feels like forever.
yeah, even as the PlayStation fanboy, uh, it's hard to see how them buying Blizzard Activision would give them any more of an advantage in the cloud gaming space, that they already have. So yeah, it does seem like a weird thing to highlight. Um, of course, Microsoft has now in the past few days like made a bunch more deals with different smaller cloud gaming services,
Mhm.
like 10 years deals, making sure their titles are not exclusive to Microsoft or whatever. Um, it'll be interesting to see because apparently, from what I've read or heard, the Board of Appeals does not, you know, change decisions too often.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
these British
It's
people set in their ways. That once they've made a
stubborn.
decision,
They don't.
they're stuck in
They
there.
don't want to admit that they
They
were
don't want to
wrong.
admit they're wrong.
Yeah. Crazy.
But yeah, some of the comments coming out from, especially Bobby Kotick, like pretty gangster, shakedown kind of style, which really is not surprising given who he is. But yeah, look forward to us talking about this Xbox Blizzard Activision deal for the next 12 months, probably. Because this is just the Britain. There's still ongoing other places around the world that
Yeah.
they could also shoot down this deal as well. So it's still not guaranteed that it'll go
No.
through, but Microsoft has enough money to throw lawyers at it forever. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see when they just kind of cut their losses and say, no, this can't happen.
I don't think. I don't know. I feel like it has to like.
I mean, the sooner the deal gets through, the sooner Bobby Kotick gets fired, right?
That's the other thing. That is the big thing about it, right? It's like just let the deal go through and Bobby's gone. So much improves everywhere else. Like it's just I don't.
Well, even if the deal doesn't go through, he gets fired, I would imagine.
You would
It's like
think
you
so.
didn't get the deal through, you're fired.
Yeah.
So, all right. No more tangents, Ciaran.
Okay.
Tell me about
Can
Dreamhack.
I just
How
sure?
much? How much is it like Inception?
Not much.
Disappointing.
Not at all. Yeah, Dreamhack Melbourne run by ESL, specifically ESL Australia this year. Was on for the last 3 days this weekend, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The event as a whole was really good. It's a real positive. It's been a couple years since the Melbourne Esports Open, so this has very much taken its place, kind of in positioning and in who's running it and the people involved. The event was held at the Melbourne Olympic precinct, which covers Rod Laver Arena, Margaret Court Arena, and a couple of the other buildings around there. For people who didn't know, because I do feel like from just my conversations with people actually in public in Melbourne, this wasn't very well advertised, even though this was like heavily sponsored by the Victorian government because there was Victorian government logos everywhere. But I had a number of interactions on the tram and on the train into the venue or leaving the venue, or people be like, "Oh, what's that thing?" Because I had my DreamHack badge on.
Hmm.
They're like, "Oh," and we had conversations, and they were like, "Oh, if I'd known that was on, I would have gone." So
Yeah.
maybe
I don't
it
know.
wasn't.
I feel like that's common for any event that's happening. Probably in
Yes,
Melbourne.
100%. I
It's
do
like,
agree.
why are you holding all these plants? There was a massive gardening expo.
Yeah. So to have that, and I guess turnout was really good. I think actually it was busy. Friday during the day was a quieter day, but at the same time, what it was a really cool thing. They had a students' day throughout the day, so they had like a number of schools invited to bring like their students in applicable classes to come and have a look through the event and to come participate in the event. So I guess that helps with crowd numbers. The large event going on for majority of it was Counter Strike Global Offensive. So the ESL Pro League was on, which was really good. Literally, that started every day at like 10 o'clock and ran all the way through till 10, 11 o'clock at night for all 3 days.
Wow.
With a whole range of teams. It was really great to be part of an Australian audience backing Australian teams. Greyhound being like kind of the main team that a lot of people were supportive, and they went really far all the way up till I think they got knocked out this morning, Sunday it is, but they did get knocked out. But having the crowd energy and just seeing the amount of people flowing in and taking part in it was great. Um, they had like a small expo in one of the small buildings that only had like a couple of like your Scorp techs and your different PC manufacturers to show off. I think becoming a staple is there was like the tabletop gaming area, as well as like the creator setups where there was a number of Twitch streamers or content creators kind of rolling through there, and people could actually talk to them and ask them questions. I think I had a couple downsides to the event as a whole that I think will be fixed, is what I'm looking at and heard of from different members on social media and people commenting on it. Um, the main so Margaret Court Arena was the main location for the gaming events. They had the
Mm.
main arena that was in Rod Laver, but that was very rarely used. On the first day, that didn't open up until 5 o'clock, where they did the opening ceremony for the event, and then that was all that was done there. But then they also had that arena was being used for music acts at night. So from like 7 o'clock at night, there was acts like Mashton Kutcher and other DJs and other musicians that were playing there to give it that party vibe and to hang out and for people to do like a blow off thing in the evenings, which was cool. And they had a wide variety of different acts and styles of music. But other than that, the other Margaret Court Arena was the main location for CS:GO. Had one side, like it was, they split the arena in half,
Mm.
and one half was CS:GO, and then the other half was on the first day. It was used for the Students' Day stuff and for panels, and then also Friday night, there was a fairly big podcast that I listen to, Trash Taste Podcast, did a live recording of their podcast there. But the whole time, and then also Saturday, they had the League of Legends Oceanic Grand Finals played out there, as well as the All Star match. But they both shared the same of the arena the entire time. So anytime you're watching League or you're watching the Trash Take podcast or you're watching Counter Strike Go, you can hear the other crowd and the noise from the
Yeah.
other side the whole time. So I just feel like it's very weird that there was just this whole conflicting arena when you have, and I guess the main arena probably maybe wasn't able to be set up for gaming, and there was probably some restrictions placed by the venue. But to have it all of your events, other than the fighting stuff, which was in like the expo hall, all of the main attractions for the esports side of it in that same area kind of clashing with each other, I just thought was a bit frustrating. There
Needed better
was
soundproofing, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, 100%, because and the thing is, it's a fucking impossible to soundproof an entire
Yeah.
arena, like to do that. Like
No.
um and so that was one of the other part that I found a weird decision. And I'm not sure. I walked past there a couple times Saturday, and I think they might have opened it up. But in that main arena area, a large portion of that was cut off for the bring your own computer section, which is normally a large part you'll see it at PAX, where people will buy a ticket and they'll bring their own PC to play games throughout the event and stuff,
Mm.
and do whatever they want, hang out with their friends and be a massive LAN. The problem was this LAN area and the bring your own computer space was also being used by people competing in some of the minor events for the tournament. So like they had a Fortnite tournament, they had a Valorant tournament. There was a couple other events. I think one of them was Call of Duty as well, but they all happened within that bring your own computer arena,
Area.
the LAN arena. And for Friday at the very least, only people could go in and watch those if you had a bring your own PC ticket. Nobody else could go in
Okay.
and watch it and see. I did notice a couple of times when I walked past yesterday that the doors were open and there was less security around them, so maybe people could go in freely, and they changed it after Friday. But there was a lot of people commenting online, esports providers and teams being like, it's kind of weird that if people were to here to come and support Call of Duty or to come and check out Fortnite, that they would have to have one of these bring your own computer tickets to be able to see. And there was only I think that the limit was like 250 tickets for that on
Mm.
site. So, um, bit of a strange one, but I think it's a positive. I think anytime there's a chance for live esports to happen in Australia, I think is absolutely fantastic. I think the Australian crowd, especially getting behind Australian teams, and if you've been to any sporting event or anything where there is Australian representation, crowds are great. You get your Aussie chants. You get people cheering for them. You get big reactions from the players. It's so much fun. It's so enjoyable to buy into. So to see that and then to be a part of that, I think is a great chance. So I really hope that this happens again next year. Especially for people like I'm not a big Counter Strike fan, but I loved going in and sitting and watching Counter Strike. I was in there majority of the time I was there. Um, and getting involved in and the casters do a great job of kind of explaining the teams and kind of explaining the storylines to you, and you easily start picking up the different things about the game and the different moments, and yeah, there's nothing like watching a big clutch or a big kind of like kind of epic moment from players in there and the whole crowd going wild. It was a good event. It has some learning to do, but I feel like especially with like the game expo that was over this year, all of
Mm,
these types of events are always going to have learning experiences, and then
yeah,
you just got to hope that the next time and that they do put on a next time happens again, and it happens even bigger and better than the first.
yeah. Well, what sort of numbers do you think there? Do
Um,
you have any
this is
idea?
the hard thing, right? Because I don't. There
Was
was
it
a.
crowded?
It was crowded, and like
It
there was
was.
like
It was more packs than
yes, it was more
the
packs than
game.
the Game Expo. Yes, 100%. Like it was like there was the arenas that had seats when they were filling those up for the big games. They're filling those up for the moments. People would
Mm,
easily flow in and out of those moments when and like when in between games they'd walk in and walk out and flow that way. On top of that, like having the Game Expo, they also had Artist Alley. They had a lot of the area all the way around, like they had a big circuit you could walk around. There was arcade games everywhere that you could just jump on and start playing.
mm,
Like there was their merchandise. They had the one major merch shop, and there was a whole variety. There was all the teams logos and teams jerseys. You could get. I bought a mug and a water bottle with DreamHack on it. There's your classic your t-shirts for DreamHacks, especially. I think there was a lot to do, and one of the big things we say, and I think it's my big thing as well, especially when we come back from PAX or events. It's like, okay, was that event good? Like, did that event was it worth it to buy the 3-day pass?
okay.
Was it worth it to buy the 3-day pass? And for DreamHack, I would say yes. I think there was something new happening every day. The scheduling, they had the DreamHack app, so you could easily see what was scheduling. Plenty of meet and greets with content creators. There was a whole variety of things to do. And it was whole days, going to the music afterwards or staying to watch the grand finals for the LCO. I think it's absolutely great, and I really, really hope that it runs again next year and it keeps getting bigger and better with more gaming events happening there.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it was a good time. So yeah, what did you have any perks as a media person? Obviously, we
Um,
at the
I got
game
asked
expo.
um
Kieran
a couple of
Dylan
things.
got plied with alcohol.
Dylan
So
did get yeah, no, it wasn't quite that good. I think
you
the Game Expo they were trying to buy people's favor. Um, Press
allegedly,
was very. I guess it was intimidating for me because it was more of a very serious um press
fine.
in that terms of things. Like I went down to the press room and did a little bit of writing and checked on some stuff, and the press room is set up like a conference room for like player conferences, and they bring players down and people can ask them questions and like talk to them about how the games went and stuff like that. And
So it's a bunch of like more hardcore esports
yeah,
journalists.
like there was a lot
Like
of it's a lot of more yeah,
it's like, oh,
exactly.
this is what actual like sport journalists would probably do, or
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
possibly.
It is like, when you see the sports journalist, it is the rows and rows of tables that people can sit down and set up and be there whenever the players come down.
Mm,
Um, it was nice. The lanyard that I was wearing the whole time, only people in like your content creators, press, um, like the people working the event had those. Like the regular goer didn't have a lanyard, so It did
Suckers.
feel very nice that like you would walk in or like going to leave the event and people were like, oh yeah, no, you're good, you're fine,
Okay.
like you're good, just go ahead. Like it's you get treated with that nice respect, and it's a nice perk. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful and thank you to ESL Australia and Power Up for giving that accreditation over and letting me experience for everybody here. Dreamhack in its very best. I'm excited and I look forward to next year 100%.
Yeah. So what was the highlight?
For me, it was CS:GO.
Yeah.
I actually think being part of it and being able to watch these events go, and I think that's the thing when I know of DreamHack in European countries and other DreamHacks where there's like
Mm.
way more events going on at once, and you're like kind of being able to attend. And CS:GO was the only one that was like consistent the entire weekend. Of you could go watch them, and then you could know, okay, I'm following this team, I'm following Greyhound, so I'm going to make sure I'm at their next game every time, and keeping an eye on the ESL schedules, and keeping an eye on the event, and keeping an eye on the tournament brackets. And then you kind of while you're watching, you're building up a connection with all the teams, and so as you're watching, you have an understanding, and you build up, and you see more and more of it, um, which I think is absolutely great. I think it's a really positive thing, and I wish there was more opportunities for that in DreamHack in Melbourne, and I look forward to it in the upcoming year, hopefully.
Awesome. Any other final thoughts on DreamHack? Your experience?
No, I
No.
had a great
Yeah.
time. I think I can't say any more positives other than the
Man, it'd
few
be cool.
gripes I had. But no, it was really good, and I hope next year I can get more of you, both you and Dylan, maybe there. That'd be kind of cool to introduce you to some esports and get
Do
you
you think it's
involved.
a
That'd be
good
really fun.
introduction to people?
Yeah, 100% do, and
Okay.
especially with games like CS:GO are very easy, and if they could get like more Rocket League involved or more games like those that are really straightforward and easy, um, kind of the casters do a great job of introducing you to the game. They do a great job of building up the storylines for the teams. Yeah, no, I think it's a great place to go, even if you've never watched esports before.
Yeah. I guess the other is the setting a good like fit?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
other than the
Other than the sharing the
other
one
than the
court.
shared arena space for the main kind of stages, yeah, I think it's a great place. Like, it was really nice just to walk around the event to see everybody playing around. They had like this rainbow kind of space,
Entrance.
like
Yeah. I
path that
think.
led to the
Yeah.
expo you could follow to. No, it was really good. I think I can't speak more highly of the event, and for especially for everybody from lovers of esports to people who are completely brand new. I think it's a great time.
Awesome. All right. Well, that does it for this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Let us know what you thought of anything we talked about on this episode. Let Kieran know you did a good job at DreamHack, and let Dylan know his review was incredibly biased and he should have played it on PC by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to our Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at Arcade Couch, leave us a review, Apple Podcasts, on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Kotaku page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you here next week. Same time, same couch. Bye. I think that was it.
How do I get the UK to block your participation in this podcast?
Can't. Yeah, we'll just use a VPN to get around it. So.